Hearthstone's new mini expansion, Throne of the Tides, is finally here, and with it comes a bunch of exciting new cards. So in this video, I prepared 5 fun new decks that you can use for the new mini set. Hey guys, I'm Funky Monki, your off-meta deck builder, and in this video, we're going to be going over 5 fun new decks that you can use for the new mini set, Throne of the Tides. All the decks that you're about to see, I tried to use as many of the new cards as possible while still keeping them competitively viable, and I tried to make them as unique as possible to spice things up. And these decks, like every deck that you see on this channel, is handcrafted and refined by me, and I've promised to never net deck to give you guys the most variety. So if you want to see the most unique, creative, fun off-meta decks for the new mini set, then consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. Without further ado, let's hop into the first deck. So kicking things off is going to be this Murloc Shaman. That's right, Murloc Shaman is back. Murgle. So this deck uses 2 new cards, the Clownfish and the Tide Lost Burrower. And the new Clownfish is absolutely nutty. Just the amount of mana cheating that you can get out early is really important for this deck to make sure that you can follow it up with like a Nothing Can Stop Us or a Bloodlust to finish off your opponent. So now it can be more explosive than ever. And the Tide Lost Burrower can find some pretty cool stuff as well. Like if you can dredge up like a Murloc War Leader, you can even dredge up like a Firemancer Flurgle, and there's just a lot of really cool effects on these Murlocs that you can dredge up with this. Other than that, we just want to be as aggressive as possible while maintaining board control so we can end the game as soon as possible. Next up, we have Big Paladin using the new Frontlines card. This one is super fun to use. So we're just going to be stacking our deck with a bunch of really huge minions like Raid Boss Onyxia, Lakalar, and even the new Neptulon the Tidehunter. So we can pull them all out of our deck for free using the Frontlines card on turn 9. And a lot of our minions that we're going to be pulling out of our deck have Rush, which means that as our opponent draws cards and we draw cards, we can go ahead and rush into whatever gets pulled for our opponent's side to make sure that we always end up ahead. We do also have the Primordial Protector, so we can play that on turn 8 and draw our Frontline card for the turn 9. And just to make sure that all of these really huge minions don't get stuck in our hand, we are using Vanguard to discount them all, and we're using the Cavalry Horn to pull them out of our hand for free as well. But other than that, we're playing control deck, so we have a lot of like healing, removal, just to make sure that we can survive until those late game swing turns. And another really cool thing about Frontlines is you can even pull some of your opponent's win conditions. Like a lot of decks rely on Battlecry minions like Mutinous or like Curse Warlock, so if you can pull them all out of their deck, it means they can't play them from their hand for the Battlecry effect, and oftentimes you can just win by getting their win conditions out. So the third deck that I have for you guys is going to be one of my favorites, and it's going to be Deathrattle Rogue. This one uses the new Shatter Shambler card so it can activate all of your Death Rattles, and we have a lot of Death Rattles. Of course, we're going to be playing like the Snowfall Graveyard to double up our Death Rattles and the Sketchy Information to draw those Death Rattles. But Shatter Shambler is really good to go ahead and set up some future Death Rattle turns or to activate your Death Rattles on that same turn. Like this little card enables your Nerubian Eggs to die right away. It enables like a Korak to die right away, or like your Burning Blade Acolytes. And if you can get them to die in a turn that you have the Snowfall Graveyard down, you can get some huge swing turns. And speaking of swing turns as well too, we are using the Swift Scale Trickster with the Smokescreen combo to make sure that we can draw 5 cards for just 4 mana. And also we get to trigger all those Death Rattles too, especially if we have like a Snowfall Graveyard on turn 3 into like a Trickster on turn 4. Oftentimes we just get to fill up our entire board with all these really cool Death Rattles. Yeah, this deck has been surprisingly good for me so far, so I think you guys will like it as well. The next deck up is going to be this big Demon Hunter. This deck uses all 3 of the new Demon Hunter cards that we got from the mini set, the Fossil Fanatic, the Herald of Chaos, and Topple the Idol. And all 3 of these cards just work really well in a big Demon Hunter deck. So Fossil Fanatic is amazing with multi-strike, so you can get 2 card draw, or it can even draw us our Sigil of Reckoning to make sure that we can cheat out our big demons. And because we're running so many cheap Fel spells for the early game, the new Herald of Chaos just makes perfect sense in here. I'll remove a couple things, get us a little bit of health back to make sure we can survive until a big demon swing turns. And then Topple the Idol can be a massive clear with this deck. So for just 5 mana, we can dredge up one of our big demons and basically just kill everything on the board. And recently, Zaleg also got a buff as well, so each one of his stalks does 1 more damage. They do a total of 2 damage to start with, and then keep building from that. And then paired with like Ildar Inquisitor and Jace on the top end, we actually have a lot of lethality in this deck to finish off our opponents. And for the last deck, we're going to be using the new Herald of Nature card in this Token Druid. As soon as the Herald of Nature card was revealed, I had to build a deck around it because it just seems so good. Like, it's not hard to play a nature spell for this because we're already running like Living Roots, Sow the Soil, Composting, Thorngrowth Sentries. So it's pretty much always active. So we just want to go as wide as possible to get a huge buff from the Herald of Nature, or so we can buff our board with like the Pride's Fury. And because a lot of these nature spells summon beasts like the Thorngrowth Sentries, it makes sense to run run Oracle of Elune in here with like a Frost Saber Matriarch. So if we discount the Matriarchs down to 2 mana or less, we can go ahead and double them up with the Oracle. Yeah, if you just have just a couple minions sticking around, you can go ahead and buff them up like crazy with this deck. And it just makes this deck so sticky and so hard to deal with. So that's going to wrap up all the new decks that I have for you for the new mini set, Throne of the Tides. If you like any of these decks, or if I was able to give you some inspiration, then let me know by leaving a like down below on this video. It takes a quick second, but it helps support me a lot. And now I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments. Tell me, which deck are you looking forward to playing for the new mini set? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the Throne of the Tides.